Hello and you're very welcome back to our TG4 Championship, Senior Championship predictions. I'm joined again by Clean O'Connor to look back at what happened in the Championship last weekend and to look forward to a couple of big games this weekend. So Clean, before we look forward, we're going to talk about what happened first of all last Saturday. Mayo played against Kildare. Mayo got over the line, but not overly impressive on the way.
No, I don't think they were particularly impressive. Kildare gave a good account of themselves, as we said last week. They were definite underdogs. They were right in at half time. An injury to Erica Burke and a sin bin, I think, was a crucial point in that game, and Mayo were able to push on. But as you said, Mayo weren't particularly impressive, and they will definitely need to be better if they're going to progress in the championship.
There was a wide margin of victory, but I think
I don't think that reflects the game. I think that it was, if from a Mayo perspective, I think it was too tight for too long. Now, from a manager reviewing that performance, it gives them a lot to work on. There's a load of things they can build on. They can only really get better, I think, from Mayo's perspective. But if
they'll have worked out some of the kinks.
I think so. So. But they definitely, and they'll know that themselves. I mean, I'm kind of stating the obvious. If they're ambitious to win the All Ireland, they'll know they'll have to be a lot better than that.
Now, unfortunately for Kildare, they'll join Laois in the Intermediate Championship next year. But Kildare, they did give a good account of themselves despite the margin of victory.
They did. They were right in it, as I said, up until half time. There's been a huge turnover of players in the last year, so any team would struggle with that number of starting players leaving the panel. So I think Kildare have a bit of work to do in terms of building their inter-county team back up again, but they do have strong club football in Kildare, and I think they will be contenders again in intermediate grade next year.
Yeah. And then on Monday we witnessed the clash of, probably the first clash of two heavyweights, two contenders for All Ireland titles. Cork played Monaghan, and they delivered an exciting, intense game. But you have some questions about it.
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, a 1-point win in championship football is always exciting. But to be honest, I was disappointed with both teams. I didn't think either team were at their best. I thought both teams, there was a lot of unforced errors. There was a lot of things you wouldn't usually see from either of those calibre of teams.
Could that be explained by a long gap between their Ulster and Munster Championship eliminations in this game?
Potentially, but even with the long gap, I don't think either team were good enough. And if you were judging it on that game, judging an All Ireland contenders, I would say neither of those teams would be good enough if they play like that.
Even though Cork, as they always seem to do, found a way when it looked like it was going from them, when that goal was given against them, you still didn't think that Cork looked like a team that were capable?
I think Monaghan played into their hands a little bit. I think Monaghan, they sat back way too much, and often teams do it against Cork. They get way too defensive, and Cork are very good in defence, and they're very good at picking off scores when they need to just keep themselves in a game. Monaghan sat back at one point. Kiva Moan was the only forward in their half, and there were times when Monaghan were coming out of defence, they'd look up and there was Kiva Moan and maybe two, if not three, Cork players sitting back. There's no chance that she was going to be able to compete, and they couldn't deliver a ball into the danger zone. I mean, there's no good having the ball in your own 45. There has to be someone in the other end of the pitch to win it. So I think Monaghan got way too defensive, and to me, tactically, they lost the game. Monaghan should have won the game.
Really?
I think so. And also, I suppose, Emer Scally had a superb second half. Really good second half. She is that, let's call it a stereotypical Cork corner forward. Will back herself, very tenacious, a superb player. So people need to, I think opposition teams need to get better at man-marking those Cork players, because when the chips are down, they have players who will take a game on, and they need to be in a one-on-one battle stopped. You know, someone has to mark Emer Scally very well when the game is in the melting pot.
But if it's not Emer, then it could be Orla Finn, or
exactly.
They're not exactly short of talent. Kira Sullivan, Durham Sullivan.
They're not. So one-on-one battles have to be better if Cork are going to be beaten.
That match the last day was followed by the All Ireland Minor Championship, and there's no way around it. Cork won that comprehensively. there is more talent coming through in Cork. We saw some exceptional displays. Is there a worry, or maybe is there an urgency for the other contending counties in the senior championship that they really need to win it this year, because Cork are only going to get stronger again?
From watching the minor final, there's no doubt about the talent coming through in Cork, and I think you're right. I think to be honest, for the good of the game, I think all the other counties need to step up and need to be a little bit smarter. Cork obviously have a lot of experienced players. They know how to win. They've played, as I said, the likes of Emer Scally. Even though she's young, she has All Ireland medals. She knows how to back herself. So
Ciara Sullivan, Breed Stack,
all of them,
Roisin Phelan, there's a lot of good
huge amount
players.
of them. So oppositions need to do a better job and not be probably as naive and go after it a little bit more.
Maybe not show as much respect to Cork.
Yeah, if Monaghan went after it, I firmly believe they could have and should have won that game.
So it's Galway next for Cork, another big game for the Rebels if they're going to retain this title. Yeah. Do you see them improving a huge amount between now and that Galway match?
I do see them improving. I also see them growing in confidence. Maybe it was a nerves thing, and there was a lot of pressure on them after Munster, and maybe that's why we saw more errors than we usually would. I think as they winning that first game against a team like Monaghan, they have a lot of history, will give them confidence going into Galway, into the game against Galway.
Okay, and I don't want to point out too much, but I did predict Cork when you said Monaghan, so I think maybe some of that is born out of bitterness. But we'll move on to this weekend's matches. We're going to start with the first game in Nowlan Park in Kilkenny. It's Dublin versus Waterford at 4:45. These two games in this doubleheader will be televised. So your own Dublin, we expect a lot from them this year, but they're playing against a Waterford team who have beaten Kerry, they've beaten Cork, they narrowly lost the Munster final. They don't tend to win by much, but they don't tend to lose by much if it happens. So defensively, they're really well put together. So what can Dublin expect, and what do Dublin need to do to overcome Waterford?
I think for both teams, Dublin and Waterford don't have a lot of history in the last decade. You know, we haven't played each other that much, so there's a bit of an unknown, which can be challenging because you don't really know what you have to deal with for both sides. I think Dublin will have to, they've been okay so far this year. They're not the finished article. They have a lot of room to improve. They're going to have to move the ball fast, I think, and they're going to have to play. They're going to have to really attack Waterford fast. If they sit back and let Waterford set up, they're good defenders, and give them time. I think they're going to have to try and catch them off guard.
It's a Dublin team full of players that you would be familiar with. There's an onus on them to put in a performance. If they don't, they'll be out. Who do you see Dublin looking to ensure that performance comes out on Saturday?
I think there's a few key players. I suppose going off what the team list that we have currently, I think Sinead Finnegan, who's named at fullback. Sinead has played all over the field. She's played midfield, she's played wing back, also centre back. So she is going to have to kind of command that fullback line. Martha Byrne in one corner, Rachel Ruddy in the other. Great to see Rachel Ruddy back.
Yeah, good player.
Really good player, really good dual player. So Rachel is capable of doing a man marking job, no doubt about it. So if you're looking at the Waterford inside line, Michelle Ryan, Maria Delahunty and Aileen Wall down to start, who came on and scored the goal against Cavan. So that full back line for me, the Dublin full back line, is going to have to be one of the best lines on the pitch, because that is a potent full forward line for Waterford.
They'll surely be under pressure from a good Waterford full forward line. That Dublin half-back line looks particularly strong. Alwyn Carey, Niamh Collins, Leah Caffrey, all young, mobile, tough players. Absolutely.
Niamh Collins, I think, is developing into one of the best footballers in the Dublin panel. Alwyn Carey, when she started, she was kind of full-back, cornerback. I think maybe the wing suits her better. She's aggressive going for the ball. She'll drive forward. She's very strong physically. So she's a formidable wing back. And Leah Caffrey, again, started kind of at a cornerback position, but I think enjoys that freedom she gets at wing back to drive up the pitch a little bit more. So I'd expect Niamh to be quite mature in how she plays that centre back role and maintains a defensive position, I suppose. But I'd like to see Alwyn and Leah kind of go for it up the wings a bit.
Something of a surprise in the team that we have is Denise Mckenna coming into the team and starting at full forward. Denise has had her injury problems over the last few years, otherwise she'd be a lot more known to football supporters in Dublin. What do we expect from her as full forward?
It's great to see Denise getting a championship start. As you said, she's had a lot of injury issues over the last couple of years, but she's very good under high ball. Physically has a great presence for a full forward, an exceptionally good striker of the ball. So very, very strong. So if she gets on possession, she's very accurate and could cause a lot of damage if she gets on good quality possession and can position herself in the right place in the field.
She's something of a traditional old style full forward, but around her there are the corner forwards named are Sinead Ahern and Noel Healy. Lindsay Davies positioned at centre forward. Carla Rowe is there. Nicole Owens is there. That's a frightening six.
There's a lot of speed. There's a lot of speed in that full forward line and in the forwards in general. No one can really question the ability of all those individual players. Sure. It's whether they can knit together a cohesive forward six who can play together, who can move as a unit, who can create scoring opportunities. If things aren't going their way, can they adapt on the pitch? Can they attack when they need to? Can they shoot from distance when they need to? So I suppose skill and fitness and all that isn't the issue, I think, with Dublin. It's adaptability on the pitch.
Now, we're talking about Dublin. Now they're going to face a really well organised, well tested Waterford team who've come through a really intensely competitive Munster Championship, and then they had a titanic match against Cavan, one that they stole literally at the very end with an Aileen Wall goal. Waterford will need to improve from that performance against Cavan.
They will definitely need to improve. They did steal it at the end, but that takes skill and that takes there's qualities needed to be able to do that too and be able to keep going to the final whistle. They're going to have to be better. They are battle hardened, let's say, from the Munster Championship. They will have confidence. They're building momentum, and that can tighten a team and harden a team, as you know, with all those intense games. But they're going to have to be better for this match, without doubt.
When we looked through the Waterford team, you immediately picked out their inside forward line as a particularly impressive and dangerous unit. One that Dublin full back line that you spoke about will really have to work hard against, because there's a number of different types of threat in that full forward line.
Yeah, I mean, you've Michelle Ryan, who's, you know, everyone knows Michelle. She stands out because of her height, if nothing else. You know, she's been on fire, winning primary possession. She's also exceptionally accurate. So she's a threat in a way that maybe Aileen Wall is a different type of threat. Small, fast, nippy, can steal a goal in the last minute. You know, that type of thing. Maria De La Hunte with her free taking ability. She shot to start when she was kicking frees off the ground. So Dublin can't afford to give frees away either.
Yeah. Any indiscipline will be punished.
Absolutely. So they're going to have to deal with a lot of different types of players, but I think they have the ability. I mean, Rachel Ruddy, I think, can deal with Michelle Ryan's height, no problem. That's
spoken as a true Dublin supporter.
My
there.
bias snuck out there.
If you're looking at the extra or the rest of the Waterford team, again, we picked her out before for Waterford, but Grania Keneally plays a really important role at centre forward.
Very strong centre forward, and if Dublin allow Grania Keneally and any of the forwards any room, they will punish them. You know, they cannot take any of these players lightly. Grania Keneally is a very, very strong footballer, and Niamh Collins will have her hands full, no questions.
It's a key matchup, really, isn't
I think so, yeah. That will dictate a lot. And
then just looking through the Waterford team, there are a few surnames that stand out. We know about the Walls. They're fantastic footballers, but a group of girls on the way through, their three sisters, are the Murray triplets. You've picked them out as players that are particularly impressive.
Yeah, so we've Emma Murray at number 9, Katie at 12, and Aoife at the end of the bench, number 18. So they're all making names for themselves in different positions, and again, three very strong footballers who are coming through in Waterford. So whether they're successful this year or whether they need to build for the next couple of years, but they're much like the Walls were a backbone of the Waterford team previously. the Murrays, I think, are on the way to do a similar thing.
Yeah, they'll be it'll be really interesting to see how they get on against a very experienced Dublin opposition.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Waterford step up again. So they've had Kerry and Cork already, who are tough opposition. Another challenge with Dublin. So do they have another level to raise it to, or have we seen the best we're going to see from Waterford this year?
It'll be that'll be an interesting game. Now we're going to come back to that for your predictions in a short while. Just going to switch our attention to the second game that's in Nowlan Park. Another of the monster teams are in this. Kerry, they're going to play against Armagh. Now Armagh had again a scare against Westmeath in their qualifier, but they got through it. Some very familiar names on this Armagh team. Who do you think that we will need to look out for again on Saturday?
I suppose it's key players popping up again and again in some of these teams. Caoimhe Morgan at cornerback. Again, experienced, has been around a long time, provides a lot of stability for the Armagh team. Murray Tennyson at centre back, again, that provides stability there in that key position. We've mentioned Caroline O'Hanlon before at midfield. We all know what she can do and the impact she can have in a game if she's given any room whatsoever. Amy Macken, we spoke about her in their last game. Having come out to half forward, she seemed to be better because she was moving on to the play. She was picking up a ball with momentum behind her. She was able to run at teams. She was able to also score from distance. So I think being a bit further out from goal gives her more options to choose whether she attacks or whether she shoots early or not. But she was a key player for them the last day.
Yeah, she was the one who came up with the big scores when necessary. But yeah. I doubt, and you I assume would doubt, that she'll be given any space at all against the Kerry team who will have them well scouted.
I'd say Kerry will be wise to who they need to mark, and I mean Kerry's a step up from the last game they played, and they have very good defenders. So defensively, Kerry are always pretty good. So there will be some key, as much as it'll be a team that wins the game, obviously, but there will be some key one-on-one battles. Who'll mark Amy Macken? Who'll mark Caroline O'Hanlon? They're the two big players for Armagh. And
in the event that Amy and Caroline are kept out of the game, or at least kept quiet in as much as it's possible to do that, there are a couple of players that you would expect Armagh to have step up to the plate a little bit.
Yeah, inside you've got Lauren McConville, who's
she's another small nippy player.
Small nippy player and good footballer again. So if Amy is being kept a little bit quiet, she's gonna need to convert scores. She'll attack, she'll get on ball, she's fast. It's just how much can she convert from the possession she gets is the question. You've also got Niamh Marley named at number 12, who's a sister of the cornerback Caoimhe. So again, looking to see what she can do. She's got
she's a young player. Yeah.
She's young, but she's got pedigree. Let's say, family history and all of that. So she'll have learned a lot from her sister, watching her sister play. I think it'll be interesting to see what she can produce this weekend.
Then switching focus a little bit over to the Kerry side. Kerry are a team who have threatened to do something big in Championship for a few years, going back to their All-Ireland final appearance in 2012 as well. A lot of these players were even around back then. They haven't delivered. Is this the year that Kerry are going to deliver? And really, if they're going to do so, they'll have to start with Armagh on Saturday.
I think that comment is fair. They've been threatening for the last number of years, but they have not delivered, and you can't. There's no way around that. They haven't delivered. They will think that they should beat Armagh. They think they will be ambitious, that they want to be All-Ireland contenders. Unless they win convincingly against Armagh, I don't believe Armagh are All-Ireland contenders this year.
Okay.
I don't believe it. So unless Kerry can win convincingly, I don't think Kerry are either.
Okay, so a lot will depend on the level of performance that Kerry put in.
I think so. I think they need to kind of prove themselves a little bit against Armagh. A bit like we were talking about when Mayo played Kildare. If they really truly believe they're capable of winning the All-Ireland, this is now a champ. They're in the thick of Championship now, so they have to start producing performances that make us believe, but make themselves believe that they really have something of quality.
And do you still say that despite them winning the Munster Championship this year?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We in fairness, we have seen them win Munster in the past and fail in the All Ireland series.
Exactly.
So if they're real contenders, they need to kind of produce that performance now. So for Kerry, who's going to help them get that performance?
Aisling Desmond, Aisling Leonard, Aisling number 3, number 4. So good defenders. They'll need that against Armagh. They'll need that if Amy Macken is running off the shoulder and attacking goal. If the inside forwards are threatening, I suppose. They'll need those 2 players to be on form. The middle of the field, Lorraine Scanlon and Emma Sherwood, one of them is going to have to man-mark Carolina Hanlon and going to have to minimise her impact on the game.
Yeah.
She is one of back to my previous point, Caroline is one of the best footballers in the country, but they have to now start dealing with those players to a better degree if they're going to win the All-Ireland. They need to be able to have somebody who will minimise Caroline. Inside line, then, they do have good forwards. Sarah Houlihan, Louise Niemeyer-Hertig and Laura Rogers. They're all good. We've seen Louise pull out very good individual performances to sometimes to drag her team through a championship match and get the vital scores. She'll need to produce them, and Sarah Houlihan and Laura Rogers and Denise Hallisey again, all of those will have to give a little bit more, I think.
It's quite a strong unit, though. When you look at it, there's very few weaknesses on that team that we can see. So Kerry are a well put together unit.
They are. There's no doubt about it that Kerry are good, but are they good enough? They're probably up to now. They've been 75-80% there. They're getting a lot of things right, but they just keep falling short, and they're just missing key pieces each year. And it's different things each year that catch them out, but they're nearly there. But what's going to be different? That's what I'm waiting to see this weekend. What's going to be different about this Kerry team that makes me think, oh, do you know what? They could win something this year. Now,
the winners of this, there's a potential All-Ireland semi-final against a Dublin or Waterford team in the semi-finals. So whoever wins needs to find a level of performance that would make them good enough to play against either one of those teams in the semi-final.
I think so. I think so. I'm not sure what will happen, but whoever comes through, they're going to find themselves in a semi-final. So they're going to need. I'm looking for the performance this weekend. Is what I'm looking for.
Okay. Now, we've gone through the teams. We've spoken about the players to watch. Now it's time to decide who you think is going to win them. Your own Dublin are going to play Waterford. That's the first game. Throws in at 4:45. It's live on TG4 from Nowlan Park in Kilkenny. So, is it going to be Dublin or Waterford?
I'm going to go with Dublin.
And this isn't just as a Dublin person speaking?
No, it's not. It's not just blind loyalty. I do think they're the better side. I don't think it'll be an easy game, but I do think there's more experience with Dublin team. They're on the road as a unit a little bit more consistently over the last few years. Waterford are good, there's no doubt about it, but I don't think they're at Dublin's level yet.
And then Kerry and Armagh, the second game in Nowlan Park. The winner of this will play Dublin, according to yourself. Will it be Dublin versus Kerry, or will it be Dublin versus Armagh?
I think it will be Dublin versus Kerry, but I'm more interested to see how, if Kerry win, how they win. What sort of performance? Is it going to be a dragged out 1 or 2 point win, or is it going to be convincing? What are they going to produce? But I think it will be Kerry.
You think it will be Kerry? So Dublin and Kerry for Cliona. I'm going to leave the predictions with Cliona this week. And just a reminder that both of those games are going to be live on TG4. It's a double header. Dublin versus Waterford throws it in at 4:45 in the opener game in Nowlan Park, and then at 6:30 it's Kerry versus Armagh. We're looking forward to 2 very, very good games. I think we'll have very entertaining games. If Monday was anything to go by, they'll be exciting no matter what happens.